wealth of knowledge behind the counter at your local pharmacy. All you have to do is ask.
Yeah, and this morning we're doing just that and asking Alec Ginsberg, CEO of Bigelow, CO of Bigelow, fourth generation specialist, a few of those questions. Good morning. Thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, let's start it right off. The one that everybody wants to know. Allergy season is upon us. What are some of the leading medications for allergies right now? What's flying off the shelves?
Yeah, so this past week especially, I feel like I'm being asked this question all the time. I like to think about allergy treatment into three main categories. So the first one is your classic oral antihistamines, which are like Claritin, Zyrtec, Xyzal. That's going to give you your basis of fighting that histamine response that causes all those allergy symptoms we think of. Second, if you need a little extra boost, I like to use a nasal corticosteroid. So that's your Flonase, your Nasacort. If you need a little bit of extra action, like in your sinus area, that's going to act locally and help you out that way. And then third, some people get really itchy eyes. I'm one of those people. I hate spending all day just scratching myself. And you can use antihistamine eye drops. So Pataday is something that was a prescription item a couple years ago, now is over the counter. I use it every single morning, and that's what I recommend to my patients at Bigelow.
Use it too.
Yeah, I mean, so not necessarily one thing isn't going to solve it all.
It might, but at least in New York, I think the pollen is out of control. I like to cover my bases and just hit them from three different angles because it's better to be prepared than be sorry for the rest of the day.
Yeah, one thing my allergist told me is start early. When you know allergy season is upon you, start taking the meds now because by the time you get full blown, forget about it. You got to go to the doctor.
Exactly. There's no downside to taking them. The side effects are very, very minimal, so you might as well cover your bases.
Yeah, don't wait for it to happen to get the reactions. You know what a lot of people wonder? What is going on behind the counter? Why does it take so long? Like you go for a prescription and you're like sitting there forever and ever.
This is my favorite question, and it's something that I get asked by not just customers and patients, but my own family are always wondering the same thing. And I think the simplest way to put it is protecting everybody's safety. So you think about, there's a lot of steps that go from when you leave the doctor's office and he sends a prescription in to when it actually gets in your hand at the pharmacy. And you're putting a lot of trust in the doctors, the pharmacists, the people that work at the pharmacy to make sure that we're keeping you not only healthy but safe, not making any mistakes. So when a prescription comes in, we're analyzing that it's written correctly, that the right drug for you is selected, the dosing is correct. We're also looking at your medication profile and making sure that it mixes well with everything else that you're taking. The doctor only knows what you're taking based on you filling out that form, and you may not remember everything you're taking, and you may be remembering the name incorrectly. So the pharmacy is who gets that complete picture. And even when we select a bottle off the shelf, we're making sure, through a multitude of ways that it's what we expect it to be, that the pills in the bottle are the right thing. There's just, let's say your kid was getting a medication, you would hope that every step of the way we're double, triple checking that everything is correct. And that's why it takes a little bit of time back there.
And some meds might have bad reaction with each other, right?
Exactly. And the pharmacist, that's really what our training is about. Doctors get, their focus is on diagnosis. They do learn about the drugs, but our specialty is drugs. That's, we get a doctorate degree, spend 4 years mastering that stuff, and the doctors are relying on the pharmacist to just do that final verification and make sure.
Okay, what does it mean when there is a medication shortage? I mean, people think, oh my God, I got to go out and stock up on this particular medicine. That's not exactly what it means.
No, so medication shortages are a hot topic, especially lately because we've all heard about the shortage of Ozempic and those injectables. Something to understand about medication production is it's just like any other assembly line. So there are factories all across the world, and time is money, so these drug companies are figuring out exactly how much they need to produce and when to produce it on the assembly line based on forecasting demand across the world. So any minor hiccup in this assembly line can cause a major delay in or a shortage. So that could be anything from ingredients not being delivered to the factories, staffing issues at the factories, weather delaying the shipments from wherever the drugs are being produced to the United States, and then of course increases in demand. So that's what we've seen with those injectables lately. That's also what we've seen with the ADHD stimulants as of late. Amoxicillin for kids had an issue earlier this year because there was a surge in demand and an issue at one of the factories. There could be a million reasons for a shortage, but the best way to prepare for it, I tell people, is to use an independent pharmacy that you trust and to have a good relationship with your pharmacist. And the reason for that is independent pharmacies like C.O. Bigelow, we're constantly monitoring drug shortages around the world when there might be signs of one and stocking up on those medications. But also if there is a shortage and you're somebody who relies on a specific medication, if you have a relationship with your pharmacist, you know, when I see a drug shortage coming up, I instantly think of the patients that I know who take
That's
that medication, and I
Yeah.
make sure that I get it for them. So as silly as it sounds, it's people looking out for you. And if you
Yeah.
have a relationship with your healthcare team, they're
great.
doing that for you.
So what do you say to the people that do come to you all the time? What should we always have stocked in our cabinets?
In your cabinet at home. So I could list 100 medications for this, but what I tell most people when I answer this question is you want to be prepared for emergencies. So
Yeah.
aside from your, you know, Tylenol and Advil, which are the classic painkillers, you want to have stuff that's good for allergic reactions. So EpiPens are really important. You never know when you may have some anaphylactic reaction. You'll be thrilled that you had it. Even if there's a less crazy reaction, Benadryl is really good. So Benadryl is what you take for an acute allergic reaction. I think anything for wound care is good. So let's say, you know, you slice your finger in the kitchen and you need stitches, but before you get there, you want to be able to cover it up with some gauze and a Band-Aid. And then, sad as it is to say, I think something that we should start normalizing is keeping in the house is Narcan spray, which counteracts, you know, a fentanyl overdose. I know most of us probably say, oh, we're never doing anything risky for that. But let's say you have kids and they have friends over at the house and somebody takes something that they might not have gotten from a reputable place. You'll be happy that you had it. You could wind up saving somebody's life.
They used to say have, what is it, Ipecac? Something for, you know, for kids ingesting things.
Yeah, that makes you throw up.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
All
Alec,
right.
thank you so much for coming in. There's so much really useful information. We appreciate you coming in.
Thanks a lot for having me.
All right. And just so you know, that's Alec Ginsberg from C.O. Bigelow joining us this morning. Again, thank you, sir. Great information.